Fleury,
You
Crosby,
raise a good
Malkin.
point. I mean, you probably would never see a shootout.
Exactly. So there you go. So your shootout is the fail-safe. If you're freaking maybe Minnesota Dallas would go to that shootout, or some some game nobody cares about where there's only 20 people.
I thought you were gonna be like some
Minnesota's a
team or
bad
something.
example because that's a major hockey city. But you know what I'm saying? Like it would be pretty two dead teams that played a pretty boring game of hockey that couldn't score in 20 minutes of 3-on-3. And I wouldn't watch that game anyway.
People would just leave.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. You both lose. None of you get points. Just go home. You're failures.
Rethink your lives.
Yeah. They'll just put the Zamboni out on the ice at like the 15-minute mark. You gotta play around it.
You gotta play around it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, you make a good point.
Turn the lights off.
You make a good point about the continuous thing. Realistically, it wouldn't be continuous because there would just be too many opportunities for goals. But I mean, I will say this: there have been some counter arguments to 3-on-3. Is that some of the teams in the minor leagues have developed defensive systems where they just play keep away, just to try and get to the shootout. So to null and void the 3-on-3 altogether. So if that were to happen, then you would have to do what you suggest because teams would.
Well, that's easy. That's an instant penalty.
Well, no, they're playing within the rules. They're just playing.
No. I mean, that's easy. You when you introduce this into the NHL, you say that I don't know how you make a rule around that, but
yeah, that would be a tough rule.
Well, not really. I mean,
stop passing the puck, damn it!
The ref called the delay of game in it was Philadelphia and someone. We should look this up.
Yeah, this happened a couple last year, I believe. Or no?
Yeah, so like that one team was fed up. I think it was Tampa because Tampa plays 5 back.
It was Tampa and Philly.
It was Tampa and Philly. So Tampa's playing 5 back, which means they have the lead and no one is crossing the center line. I think one guy crosses center ice, but he doesn't cross the blue line.
Yeah.
He doesn't cross the neutral zone.
And Philly is getting pissed.
So I'm pretty sure Hartnell or some guy with the smart ass kind of attitude is just standing in his own zone, just playing with the puck back and forth.
Yeah.
And just literally,
I remember that.
Like knowingly. This is a massive sport. This is a massive sport. You're on national television on like at least 2 statewide networks, never mind probably a national network, and you are getting paid millions of dollars to just stand there.
You're in essence making a mockery of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so and the ref either called, I don't know if he called a penalty, but he definitely blew the whistle.
Yeah.
So you could come up with something. If a ref can in the middle of a game find a way to stop that play, I feel like if you wanted to kill a 20-minute period 3-on-3 to get to a shootout, that you would get caught. I don't think there's any way you would have success doing that.
I think realistically you're not going to see them ditch the 4-on-4.
I agree with you.
So
my scenario, as much as I love it, and as I honestly think that it is a good solution. Yeah, you're right. They're not going to eliminate the 4-on-4. They're going to want to scale it. We're still going to see a shootout, but hopefully, like you said, it's a very small percentage of the games that go to that level and can't score 4-on-4, 10 minutes, 5-on-5, 3 minutes. Obviously, if they skip the 3-on-3 and they're just tacking on an extra 5 minutes of 4-on-4, I don't think that does much. I don't think. I think you might reduce it a little bit, but you're still going to see more shootouts. So enough shootouts to annoy me anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's meet somewhere in the middle then. Let's say 10-minute 4-on-4 followed by unlimited 3-on-3 until somebody scores.
Yeah, I'd be down with that, but
I don't think that's going to happen though.
No, that's not going to happen.
It sounds that wasn't one of the discussions on the table. It sounds to me like it's either going to be left alone or it's going to be just 10 minutes 4-on-4 followed by a shootout. And that's like 50-50 split. Well, nobody wants to leave it the way it is, so I should say that first. It seems to be 50-50 between these two scenarios. 10 minutes of 4-on-4 followed by a shootout, so double what it is now to a shootout, which, realistically, that extra 5 minutes 4-on-4, you'll probably see a goal. But there'll be a lot of teams still going to the shootout, I think. And then there's another even more popular opinion, 10-minute 4-on-4 followed by 5-minute 3-on-3, then the shootout. The argument being that's too much hockey, guys will get tired. But, realistically, with that 5 minutes of 3-on-3, it's going to be a goal. Like very very realistically, there will be goals in the 3-on-3 scenario, as we said, because there's just no defense whatsoever. So
yeah, that one opens it a bit more for the time killing too, because you only have 5 minutes to kill for the 3-on-3, right? So that might be a bit more defensively minded. But I think that as long as they have a 3-on-3 before the shootout, that's what's going to increase your chances significantly.
Yeah.
How long it is and whether or not it comes after a 4-on-4, whatever. But get the 3-on-3 in there, and that's how you're going to cut down on a significant percentage of shootouts in the NHL.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It'll be really interesting to see where they go with this, just because. I hate shootouts so much. If I never have to see a shootout again.
Well, you know how we could avoid them is, let's make the game more realistic. Let's get the no-touch icing. Let's get the international wider ice. Let's get the smaller pads. Even
the wider ice, you're not going to see that.
I wish. That'd be phenomenal.
They have to redesign every arena. Yeah, I'm just saying it seems very unrealistic.
You're right. No-touch icing is way more realistic.
Yes, no, I agree with you. The no-touch icing for sure.
But you got to look at ways to make the game more higher scoring, and yeah, they've done it over the years, but it's nothing like it used to be. I mean,
no.
Get these the goalie pads are still ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. One of the things they didn't cover today, which a lot of people were hoping they would, which I'm a bit surprising, was going back to the Emery incident, the goalie fighting thing, to see if there's going to be some sort of new rule in place for goalie fights. Not that it happens that often, but there is talk about instilling some sort of new regulation where goalies can't cross center ice or something like that. And they didn't get around to discussing that today, so it'll be really interesting to see.
Most likely scenario is like a Ray Emery rule, just like the Sean Avery rule. Something that is designed so specifically to prevent that event from ever happening again, strictly because that player may have given other players ideas by doing something stupid.
How about they just say Ray Emery isn't allowed to cross center ice anymore? Every other goalie's fine, but
you're still good.
Yeah, just Ray.
If only they could single players out like that.
Yeah, Emery's trying to cross.
Or I don't know, you could just suspend his ass, but that's just logical.
Yeah, this is true. And you hear Emery's girlfriend was chirping Robin Leonard today, because Robin Leonard, the goalie for Ottawa, said in an interview how he called Emery gutless for attacking a guy that did not want to fight him, which is true. He was gutless. And then Emery's girlfriend, who's Keisha Shante, do you know who that is? The singer that had she had one. Yeah, no, she's his girlfriend. She had one song on the radio. Yeah, so she's defending him and calling Leonard a piece of words I can't repeat, and some racial expletives as well. And they were going back and forth on Twitter for a little while. That was kind of entertaining, but. Yeah, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Emery can pick him, for sure. Emery can pick him. But yeah, okay, moving along from that. Another big thing that happened this week. Ilya Humungous Big Brizgalov signs in Edmonton, which he called the North Pole right after he signed there. He called it the North Pole, which is
awesome.
Entertaining.
Great sound.
Yeah, a great way to start your career at Edmonton. The fan base is going to love that one. Yes, thank you for calling our city the North Pole. We are aware of the climate. Thank you. But yeah, it's a $1 million contract with $1 million signing bonus for 1 year alone. Works out to be a $2 million cap hit. They had to trade Ladislav Smid to Calgary for a couple of low-end prospects to make room for him, which some thought was a pretty bizarre trade. You never see divisional trades very often. You never see interprovincial trades. I don't think I've ever seen. I cannot name you the last time Calgary and Edmonton traded with each other. It doesn't happen ever. So the fact that Smid just goes 3 hours down the road is bizarre, to say the least. But they also got next to nothing for him. And Smid's a good defenseman. He's top 4, top 5 defenseman still in the NHL, in positioning, I mean. So, he's still a very good defenseman, very serviceable. So Calgary got a good defenseman and didn't give up very much. But it sounds like Edmonton was just sold on Brizgalov. They think he's going to be the savior there, which I pretty much disagree with. I don't know how you feel about that, but...
No, yeah, I disagree with that as well. It's extremely possible that he would improve the team slightly. I do like Brizgalov as a goaltender. I think he is, or can be, quite talented, but that team needs a lot of work. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, they're a mess right now. Earlier this week, Yakupov criticized his coach openly on air, in an interview, saying that he wasn't getting enough playing time. And, of course, the coaching staff in Edmonton was not happy about that. So there's that whole Yakupov feud going on right now. Still rumors circulating that he might possibly get moved at the deadline. Although, of course, McTavish and the Oilers brass are very adamant that that's not going to happen.
And what's his name? Darren Dreger, also on TSN, just without even using the opinions of management at Edmonton, just in his opinion, based on what he would do, Yakupov will stay. Apparently, just for this season at least, they need to kind of fish him around the water a bit. Not a real bargaining chip right now, as he's not hot, not really proving himself. So I think they might end up going past the trade deadline with him.
Yeah, it's true. He's not playing well at the moment, so yeah, he might get a little bit less for him. But I don't know. He's still Yakupov. if I was the Oilers, if I was Dallas Eakins and Craig McTavish, I might want to move him at the trade deadline to a team that is looking to go on a cup run, because a team that's looking to go on a cup run will give you much more than somebody would in the offseason, you know? And Yakupov is talented enough that he could help a team like that. So I don't know if waiting until the offseason will necessarily... I mean, they'll still get a lot for him. He's a first overall draft pick, for crying out loud. They'll get a fortune for him. But I think you might get more at the trade deadline, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. To me, it sounds like they're just not going to move him at all, which makes sense. He's a pretty talented player, so, I mean, would you risk that? I mean, would you risk getting rid of a guy that could theoretically score the team 50 goals, you know? I mean...
honestly, I wouldn't want to be anywhere in the Edmonton Oilers organization right now, just because that's a tough position. Like, what do you do? What do you do? You have all this talent, and it's not doing what you want it to do, and you're going to have to make a decision that could be disastrous, and there's nothing you can do about it. No matter what way if you make any moves, there's the off chance that the player that you trade is going to just tear it up somewhere else, and you might not get what you need in return.
Yeah,
and
that's a huge risk for sure.
I wouldn't want to touch that with a 50-foot pole. Like, that sucks.
I would only do it if you are getting something of equal value that you know is going to be a hot commodity. Like that, I bring back the Robin Lehner thing, just because you would have to get something like that in return. A guy that you know is just as likely to become a star in the league as Yakupov, for you to take that risk. Because even if Yakupov does turn into a 50-goal guy, which is possible, if you get a guy like Lehner, who is realistically going to be one of the top 5 goalies in the league in the next few years, at least you know you're getting something of equal value, right? So, I mean, I think the only way that you see Yakupov get moved is if it's for a player like Lehner. I don't think you get anything less than that. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do with him. Edmonton's just a mess right now. I can't figure this Brizgalov signing out at all, because their season's over. They're not making the playoffs. You're only signing him to a 1-year contract. What's the point? How is this possibly going to... What, do you think Brizgalov's going to suddenly carry you into a playoff spot? Does Edmonton actually think that?
No, obviously not. But
so why only a 1-year deal?
Well, grasping at straws. I mean, you got to make a short-term plan so that you can stall, essentially, right? You want to keep your job. You want to make it look like you're doing something. And the task laid out before him is not not a decision you can make hastily. So my best guess, delaying time.
Yeah. Delaying time for what, though?
Until he can make a big move with Yakupov, or the Oilers start to improve, one or the other. I mean, that obviously would be the best case scenario. They're not obviously a great team when you look through the roster, but at the same time, they're definitely underachieving, especially when you compare them to the Colorado Avalanche. So, and you know how young that roster is and how inexperienced that roster is, they definitely could be doing better. So, obviously, your best case scenario is that they just improve. That Dallas Eakins gets his message across, they play his system properly, and that they move up in the standings despite not any moves happening, right? So stalling, maybe not the best tactic, but I would honestly be doing something very similar if I were in that position.
And there's even some scuttlebutt around the league that they might hold on to Yakupov because he has the greater upside and get rid of a guy like Eberle, which seems shocking to say the least. Why would you trade your best player away? But Eberle would return. Well, the net return for Eberle would be humongous big, as Yakupov, as Brizgalov says. So I mean, if they get rid of Eberle, the logic to getting rid of Eberle is he's much closer to his prime than Yakupov, and he'll get better than he is right now, but he's probably not going to get a lot better than he is. He's already a star in the league. So
yeah, I mean, he got 60 points 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, so I mean, he's probably not going to get much better.
I cap him out. I can't see him breaking the 90 threshold.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's going to stay this pace, and he'll be a great player for many, many years, but he's probably not going to become much better than he already is, maybe a little bit, whereas Yakupov's ceiling obviously is much higher, because he isn't even close to the player that he's projected to become. So the logic there is, hold on to Yakupov, who's could potentially be a much better player down the road than Eberle, but of course there's the risk that he won't be, and get rid of a guy like Eberle, who you know isn't going to necessarily get any better than he is now, but he is a bona fide star, so you'll still get a guy like a Robin Lehner or a potential first-string goalie, which you desperately need, like a Ryan Miller or a goaltender, which you know is potentially on the open market that could really help your team out. So I mean, I think Eberle I think that's very unlikely. I still would say Yakupov is the more likely scenario, but the scuttlebutt with Eberle getting traded is, I could understand the logic of it. It makes a bit of sense to me. Okay.
So to answer your question about the provincial trades, or not so much question, but get the actual stats here.